Your Views, My Facts begins in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. This is Thomas John with Your Views and My Facts. On this episode, we're going to be talking about education, potentially versus vocational school and so forth. What's better, a 4-year college degree? So we have Cody, Will, and Rich in the studio. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, at ViewsandFacts. So leave us a message, like, share, review, do all that stuff so we can start making some of these top charts and we can read off anything that you might have to say. So before we get into the actual main theme then of this episode, I wanted to hit on a previous topic that we had already done, since this came from at Caldwell_GCMC. So he asked the question on Twitter, when are you dudes going to do a follow-up from the money fight?
Well, we definitely need to do one. That was an epic fight.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think we need to do a full episode. We can just, go in and talk about who was correct with their predictions and who wasn't. So, essentially, we could just start with myself, and that I predicted a TKO in 9, 10, 11, or 12, and it happened in the 10th round. So, what do you guys have to say about that, suckers?
Well, you also said that you don't truly believe it right afterwards. So, even though you threw the random-ass prediction out there, it's like, oh, yeah, Alex Smith is going to throw 4 touchdowns against Tom Brady, and Tom Brady won't do shit all game. Like, who would have ever predicted that? That's the kind of fucking prediction that you're talking about here.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those where it's like, hey, this is what we all think is going to happen. And then you were like, or a boulder can fall from a fucking cliff and kill someone. And it just so happens that the boulder did just fall down. But, like, that wasn't what you really thought.
I mean, none of us anticipated him putting his hands up, putting his chin down, and just walking forward and just piecing off on McGregor. We did not anticipate that. I don't think anyone pulled that out.
Yeah, we can agree. It was actually a really entertaining fight. Like, that was probably the most entertaining Mayweather fight we've ever seen. At one point, I was like, dude, actually can brawl.
Who?
Mayweather. He's normally very technical. This time it was like sort of like gloves off at the end because he knew Conor was exhausted. And he's like, let me show you guys what you've been waiting for.
Yeah, he definitely played the whole entertainer role at that point. After round 6, he was like, all right, let's have some fun.
All right, hands down, hands up, chin down, I'm coming.
Which is what all of us said here during the Money Mayweather McGregor podcast. If he didn't get him in the first couple rounds, he'd be too tired to continue going.
Yeah. But, McGregor did win, 6 of the rounds throughout that fight?
Dude, the judges gave him, I think, what was it? I think one judge gave him 1 round, and then 2 of the judges gave him 3 rounds or something like that. It wasn't much.
I don't recall. I thought he won at least the first
3.
I thought they gave him the first 3, and then Mayweather took 5 and 6 for sure. And then I don't remember what happened with 7, and then I think people were saying that McGregor took 8, and then it just went back to Mayweather. But I think one of the biggest things that just has irritated me, though, about the post-fight analysis of that is they want to preach that McGregor is better than Pacquiao and Cotto and so forth because he got more punches in. And I think that's just a bunch of bullshit. I mean, yes, the stats do show that, but you also had Mayweather just going straight at McGregor saying, all right, go ahead, show me what you have. So, of course, he's going to land more.
Yeah, I don't think it makes him a better boxer. He's definitely not a better boxer than like a Pacquiao or Canelo or something like that. But that's the thing too, is like it's fighting, and I feel like the numbers on like punches and shit like that when I do like significant strikes and stuff like that, it's like it's kind of arbitrary to me because there's been times where like people outstrike people and they still lose the fight.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, completely pointless. And then probably just the last point that I would bring up to that, do you guys think it was an early stoppage or the right stoppage in the 10th round?
I think it's the right stoppage in the aspect that Conor's not used to just being pummeled in the head like that. And there really is something to just getting hit nonstop throughout a fight in the head. So I get the aspect that he's like, oh, I could have continued standing. It's like, well, your legs were shaking. Like, you looked like you were stumbling, and it was pretty much done. And the other thing, too, is at like 28, what is he, 28?
I think so, 27, 28, something like
At
that.
27, 28, he still has, theoretically, if he wants to, he still has a long career ahead of him, right? You don't throw a fighter in and just let him just get pummeled all fight long, right? And ideally, he was going to go down anyways, to be honest with you. There was no defense.
Oh, yes. Yes, he was going to get dropped, but I think that's what the fans wanted, was they wanted him to actually hit the ground, to be quote-unquote carried out on the shield. But
Yeah, I think it was early for the fans, but I think for McGregor it wasn't early. If you know what I'm saying, like the fans, yeah, like when it first happened, I was like, I think that was early. Like I would have liked to see him get dropped and then get back up, but at the same time, it's like Rich was just saying, like the safety of the fighter and all that stuff like that plays into it. So I agree with the stoppage.
Cody just doesn't care.
No, it's not that. It's just, I mean, they're saying everything. I agree with everything that they're saying, but from the perspective of McGregor, like if I was him, I would be bitching about it too. I'd be like, let that motherfucker knock me out cold before you fucking call the fight. Especially with all the shit talking going on, like at least have me show that I'm as hard as I say I am.
Cody is an Irishman too, I think.
But do you think that an individual such as McGregor would come out and say that, yes, all those punches were actually getting to me and I was, getting rocked in my head? Like, I mean, he's going to say, yeah, I want to be dropped. Like, he will never admit that. But if I didn't get dropped, 50 more punches in my head would not have been good for my career. Like, he's not going to say that.
No.
So I see your point. Yes, right. Just let me go out, drop me. I will never tap. The same sort of thing. Like, you might as well break my arm. But I don't know. I think the referee did the right thing, and then
maybe he should have got hit in the head 3 more times, and then we would have been satisfied.
All right. Hey, fair enough. I mean, either
3 more times.
Some discretionary number.
Bottom line is, you guys all, wanted McGregor.
No, Cody wanted Mayweather.
Yeah, I said Mayweather from the beginning.
Well, no. But you wanted. I thought you wanted McGregor, and then you said that you thought though Mayweather would win.
No, he said he wanted Mayweather. He also thought Mayweather would win, and then he posted about it on Facebook like a couple hours prior to the fight.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to go back and listen to that.
One thing I think we
because I'm pretty. Go on.
One thing I think we should say before we get on to like any other topics, though, is Mayweather was actually extremely classy after the win. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a different money, I think, because he knows he's done. Like, I do think this is his last fight. I don't think he's lying about that. But he was actually extremely classy. He said a bunch of great things about Conor. He's a warrior, blah, blah, blah. He could feel the shots. But I've been boxing since the age of 12, yada, 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 So I didn't think it was, I thought it was very tasteful how he was still able to represent TMT without just completely discrediting what was a good fight and a good fighter.
Yeah, and also when they tried to get him, when they were like, oh, well, what about Rocky Marciano's record or whatever? And then he didn't really go out on a limb and be like, oh, I'm the fucking best or anything like that. He dodged the question continuously, and they were trying to get him to say like, oh, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best, and he wouldn't do it. So, class, I guess.
Definitely.
All right. Well, either or. Bottom line, I said TKO. So it is what it is. You guys are welcome. Again, your views, my facts. Chalk that up as a win.
It doesn't fucking matter what you predicted.
Fuck the Mayweathers. More like fuck the McGregors. Bitch. No threats, though. I mean, he'd kick my ass, but it is what it is. All right. I just wanted to hit on that again since we had a nice little question about that from one of our Twitter followers. So, boom. There you go. All right. So, let's get to education and the 4-year degrees versus vocational trade schools, what have you. Let's start with Rich, since he wanted to go down this road and talk about it.
Well, this is something that I've always thought of, right? Like as it's always been a question to me, like prior to me going to college, etc., right? I have a lot of friends that have degrees in variety of different career choices, right? Different majors. But one thing that like really hit a nerve with me earlier this week is I have 2 roommates, right? And I'm in the process actually of moving out and moving in with my fiance. And my two roommates only have 2 months left on their lease. One's a month to month, right? And the other one has, I'm going to extend it until the 30th of October, but it was technically over as of 1 October. And both these individuals are like theater art majors, right? So one of them has a 4-year degree that's theater art. And I believe she was
Losers.
I think she was able to get a good chunk of it paid off via FAFSA or whatever the different programs are. But nonetheless, like after getting the 4-year degree, she does have student loans still, but she has like no income because she spent 4 years doing a degree that really is not a real skill set. Like the fact that instead of doing their general education first and then moving on to like their actual degree specific ones, these individuals that do theater arts do all their acting up front the first like 2 years. They just load up with acting classes. So like for one of the finals, this is a different theater student, had told me they had to show that they could cry. Like that was their final. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like while the rest of us are like hammering out like actually learning shit, you know? You have to show that you can cry on stage and you're going to pass a class. Like
Cry for me right now.
I'm not trained in that art, Cody.
So then you said it's an art, so there does come a little bit of skill.
So I'll give you that. I'll give you that leeway, right? But what I'm looking at is the amount that it costs to go to school compared to like what they're actually making on the outside, because most of these individuals that graduate either from like theater arts or I have a couple friends that have just done like liberal arts majors and they're either full-time employees at Starbucks, they get a job at Best Buy afterwards, and I'm like, shit, dude, I got a job from Best Buy when I got out of high school. Like, why take on the 4 years of college loans if, you know what I mean, if you're going to make that amount?
Hold on real quick, though. I got to get back to this crying thing, though, because I'm not so convinced yet that it's an art. Because first I'd want to know, one, do they get to utilize anything to get them to cry on stage? And then number two, unless somebody can give me another example, I'm going to say that if you can't use anything, crying is probably the only thing right to do like unnaturally. So if every art major punk knows that that's what they have to do, then of course you could just train for that. So they're all going to do it. That I guess like show me anger. We can all show anger. Show me happiness. Oh, show me a boner. Like maybe that's hard to do.
Yeah,
like,
but I think the trick, right, is whenever they do it, it comes off as genuine and pure. You know what I'm saying?
Authentic.
Yeah,
It's deception, yeah.
because like look at the actors that we enjoy watching and shit like that. Like sometimes you get in, they bring you into the movie or the show so much that like whenever something you want to happen, like a climactic moment or whatever, you're just like, fuck yeah, like you get that reaction from them from the way that they're acting. You know what I'm saying?
To make the story real.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree on the skill sets, right? Like I'm not complaining about it. And also the point to the story, my roommates call me in and they're like, hey, we only have 2 months left on our deal with you for rent. And we were hoping, since you make a lot more than us and you know we're struggling artists, that you would actually reduce what we pay you monthly for the next 2 months. And I'm like, so this is where I need to be an adult and teach you guys how contracts work. You know? So, and I'm like, guess what? If this was like anybody else, they would not even waste their time listening to you, but I'll listen to you. You know what I mean? And they were like, well, we have smaller rooms than you, so we should be paying this and this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, and we really don't use anything else. And I'm like, you guys store shit in my garage. You guys have a bunch of shit stored in my closets. Like, not to mention, every day I wake up and you guys are on my television or PlayStation. So it's not like you're just barricaded in your room when you're not fucking here.
Yeah, I mean, they just got to understand, like, look, you got into this contract. That's what you agreed to. Tough titty.
Exactly. So, but
Yeah.
but I was amazed that their thought was, and this is legitimately what I think they think. They think because they've chosen such a unique career and they don't make a lot of money, that the world is supposed to be understanding of their skill set and like sort of, you know, give way a little bit to like, hey, we're struggling. Like one of my roommates wants to move to New York to work at a coffee shop so he could try to live the struggling Broadway actor life, right? The only problem with that is I'm like, well, what's your plan if things don't work out? And he's like, you can't go there with a backup plan. And I'm like, no, you absolutely need to go there with the backup plan.
I presume these kids of yours
They're not my kids.
are liberal.
One of them told me he was a libertarian, and then after I talked to him, I was like, yeah, you're pretty liberal. And the other one is, yeah, they're both pretty liberal. I think they both come from conservative families, and they're very rebellious in that aspect.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I would just tell them, why don't you go talk to then all your other theater fucking buddies, right? When they want everybody else to, give them handouts and so forth, maybe you can go stay with them. Call up Hillary Clinton. Maybe she'll let you come stay at her house. You can clean her fucking dusty pussy.
I think Nancy Pelosi's ensuring that thing's not dusty.
All right.
Or clean her shaft on her penis. I don't know what one she has yet. I mean, she wears fucking those man pants all the time, or like those one-piece suits.
Mm-hmm. I mean, have you seen a bulge?
Ugly ass broad bitch. Well, no, it's because it's always just so far out there and wide.
So loose.
I mean, she looks like the women's sign on a restroom, like that picture, like little triangle just coming out like a cartoon character.
I guess the difficult part about everything is for my male roommate. He's actually got a lot of skill sets that he doesn't really employ as much. He's pretty good at graphic design, pretty good at website design. When he first moved in with me, he was working on that a lot, not really focusing on the acting aspect of life. And he was probably pulling in like $3,000-4,000 a month. And now that he's like focusing on his acting aspect and he's no longer doing that and he's working at a coffee shop, I swear like I'm like 4 months late on like whatever bills they owe me. Like I get it like I get like a month of it being late for 4 straight months. And it's just like, instead of you being a struggling actor and making no money, like why don't you expand on this technical skill that you have and actually like make a career out of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, at what point do you just sacrifice your happiness for that, right? I guess that's what we come down to. No, because in reality, like the way it's being spelled out is like, I feel like those people that's probably what makes them happy, is like acting and doing all that kind of shit. But at the same time, is like, if you're going to assume that role, you need to know what comes with it. You can't be like looking for a handout in a sense. You know what I mean? Like if you know that's what you want to do and you know that doesn't really make a lot of money, but you still have this other skill set where you can make up for that, you're making the conscious decision to choose not to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it's just like you have all these aspiring athletes. You never see any struggling fucking football players, like aspiring football players, right? Because they understand, like, all right, if I'm not good enough, to make the cut, then I'm gonna have to go do something else, right? So if they're smart, then they'll get a degree paid for that is quality for them to fall back on whenever they get cut, and they don't, these actors or liberal arts majors don't really see that. They think, well, all I need is that one big break. Well, everyone just needs that one big break. Like,
I need to go buy a fucking lotto ticket.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I just need these 6 numbers to line up.
yeah,
And then get the mega number.
God, I love Keno.
No, so Cody is, I think, dead on, right? And so I pulled up the stats, and as he said, football players get a college degree to fall back on. They're like, hey, kinesiology, some sort of science, sports science, or some of them go into business. They do business, they play football, they don't get drafted, they go into the business sector. So for those individuals out there that are going for like art, liberal arts, or theater degrees, when they get out, the average, like the lowest paid on average is about $8 an hour, right? Normally they're in between that. Like most of the employees get about $12 an hour if you're like graduating from like a theater school and like you're going to go and try to do theater. Your money for the annual year will average out to about $12 an hour, right? I can go and apply right now at In-N-Out, and I guarantee I'll get at least $12 an hour at In-N-Out, and I won't have any loans at all. And then even like the highest paid actors, if you include Hollywood's elite and then you average out all the numbers, you're still talking like $30 an hour for the highest paid individuals, right? Because it is still like far and in between the ones we see on the movies that are like making big money.
So you're talking about factoring on all your, like, from D-list to A-list.
From like no list to A-list.
Oh, like just background actors? I'm a fucking background actor. I could put that on my resume. Like,
But that's what I mean. Like even Broadway actors, they get paid when the show is in session, And so they make good money when the show's in session. They make like $2,000 each week that the play is playing. But then when they're rehearsing, they make no money. And as soon as the show's over, they make no money. So like if you work for 6 weeks, you get what, $12,000 over that 6 week span. But then the rest of the year you make nothing, and then you have to have like other jobs. So is that like a smart degree for people to get, or is it simply like you are sacrificing like a better living to do what your passion is?
I think something like that though too is like you have to have a vision when you do something like that, and you can't really. It's like a small percentage of people that actually do make it out, but the people that do is like you have to have the vision. You have to truthfully believe that you're gonna become that, because without that shit, you're gonna be like down in the dumps, like all the other people that are so-called aspiring to do that. Like you literally have to have the vision and believe in it. I'm not saying anybody should do that, but like it depends how serious you are about it. You know what I mean? Like if you put the fucking hard work in and actually bust your ass, like it could probably happen. Like I wouldn't doubt that it could happen. The odds of it happening, like you said, I might go buy a fucking lotto ticket today. Like,
when you're saying it's going to happen, are we talking like Chris Pratt happening, or are we talking like
just whatever that person's catching their big break would be? Like your homie, maybe he gets like the Broadway show or some shit. Maybe that's his like big break in his head. Like, you know what I mean? Or unless he wants to be like Chris Pratt or fucking like a huge actor right now. What does he want to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think the big thing is I think he wants to transition into doing film directing, because acting so far hasn't really panned out the way he wants. But also he believes like he hasn't had the support system around him to excel as an actor.
What sort of support system do you need?
Are you trying to have, what do you need? Everyone building you up? Yeah, man, like you're going to make it. You're going to do it. You can do this.
Yeah. Here's a participation ribbon. Here's another one. Good job, guy.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with, getting some sort of theater degree, and this is, I mean, I've just been trying to listen to everything and put this in my head on why it just makes no sense to me, is that you really only have one place that you can go, right, which is over in Hollywood.
Or New York, Broadway.
Oh, sure, whatever,
Yeah,
or New York. But I'm saying you can't just be in Montana, right,
Sacramento.
Illinois, well, whatever, right? Yeah, I'm just in any other state, right, to where you could just go, right, and they have these. Well, what am I looking for?
Industries.
MGM, yeah, right, to where, yeah, here's some movies coming up. Maybe you can go, apply to study some of these lines and work for it. Like, no, everybody has to come just to Hollywood, or we're going out onto Broadway. Like, that's what you have. That's why I think it's just a fucking joke, because it's just, I guess I'll say, shark infested waters. And it's just, all right, well, you can see if you can, everybody get up in a fucking line, and we're going to go through 3,000 people today. All right, show me your boner.
And
Not good enough. Show me your boner. Not good enough.
Too big.
Oh, that's a good boner, but your face doesn't match. Next. And it's like that's all you do. Like, that's your whole life. Every day or like every week is going to figure out like, oh, what new screenplay is out. And then you're just hoping that screenplay is going to be good, right? Like it's going to make money so that you can get paid.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I would question too, like, do you guys think that you really need a degree to do that?
No.
I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm asking a serious question.
I know it's serious. I was going to ask the same thing. No, you should not need a degree for that.
I think it depends. I don't know about a degree, but I could definitely see like a 2-year, 1-year program where they just go to like a theater school, right, to practice the authenticity that Cody was talking about, right?
But the bullshit about it, no. You
like
can.
that might be a thing that like either you have it or you don't.
Well, that's where I'm at. But going one step further is how long does it take to make a movie, and would that not necessarily doing any sort of post production and adding in all the computer generated effects? I'm saying, how many times do you fuck up your line? How many times did you fuck up crying? All right, stop, rewind. That's again, right?
I mean, but that happens even with big name actors. Like look at
that's my point. That's exactly what I'm saying. So what the fuck do you need to go to try to trade school in or get a degree in? You're just going to be on take 27. All right, sweet, got it. So if anything, like I would be better. I'm pretty good with memorization, so I can memorize some damn lines. We'll maybe get to take 3, maybe, but I'll nail it. Boom, done. So yeah, that's what it should be. Just no degrees, and it's just mass ads all the time.
I mean, this is a perfect example, right? So, like, what's your experience with anything with sound production or fucking
Audio.
yeah, audio or anything like that? There's people that go and fucking get degrees for that kind of shit, like
True.
just production, that kind of stuff. And here you are, you did the research because the information's readily available.
Correct.
You set everything up here yourself. You kick this off, and so far it seems like a relative success. So like, it's out there that anybody in that sort of like realm can make it, you know, without any sort of technical expertise or anything like that, you know.
Correct. Right. So
No, I'm agreeing with you.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought you were.
I thought that was very clear.
Yeah. No,
What the
no.
fuck are you trying to say, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, the only in success is relative, right?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know if I've actually said it on any of the podcasts, but I know I've at least said it to you guys off air, if you will, which is, you know, initially this is just something that I wanted to do, and it wasn't about making money or
It's just
going
fun.
down that road. Yeah, and right now I am making no money, but it's this way that I can get my thoughts out there, relieve some stress, say fuck Hillary, and life's good. This is awesome, right? So, but yeah, I did do the research, found out what I need to do, and as each week goes on, right, there's maybe another little thing that I learn, another little tip and trick, and at some point, yeah, hopefully then maybe, you know, there will be some donations coming in or advertisements or whatever. But I also have a main job, right, that I do, you know, being in the military. So that's what I'm focusing on. So this is just a second thing. I'm not trying to catch my big break here and, you know, just quit. Like, no. I'm getting my fucking pension from the military.
But maybe it is really like a vision piece, though, for you, right? Because, like, obviously you're not planning on making this a career or anything, right? You're focusing on your other career. But you had an idea what you wanted with this podcast.
Correct.
Just like the album you're working on. By the way, be on the lookout. TJ's coming out with an album. And these are like goals that
It's
he's
like a
had.
voice of an angel.
I know, they say he's like, what is it, Fergie and Jesus?
Yeah.
The voice of our generation. But no, seriously, he's had these goals like for
Pound sign Step Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Good movie. He's had these goals for a long time, and now he's following through on them, you know, because he's got the aspiration, I guess, or the drive to get it, right?
Yeah.
Also be on the lookout for TJ's Hollywood blockbuster next summer, Hellfire, coming near you. Well, I mean, you probably somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Those are good movies.
Yeah, fact. Okay, so I guess we've all established then that a theater degree or liberal arts degree is a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
I mean, was that the whole point of initially the story, right? Is that, you know, your roommates are crying over not being able to make money, and
Yeah, I think it's just more bad life choices, you know? Like, and I don't want to throw, like, my sister under the bus, but, you know, my sister's also going to school. Well, she's taking this year off to try and act, but she's taking a year off from college because she wants to be an actress. But she's going to go back this next semester, and she's going to try to complete her theater degree that she has. And then she's going to follow on with a couple additional classes so she can become a teacher in case acting doesn't work out. So that's her backup plan. And she's been in a good position where she's not in major debt over school. But, you know, I'm thinking back, and I asked my sister, I'm like, hey, what is the fallback for theater students if they don't make it? And she's like, oh, we become theater teachers. We become drama teachers. And I'm like, so wait.
So the blind leading the blind?
Exactly, right? And so here's something I pulled up, and I thought was interesting. The average college student in the United States ends up leaving college with $36,000 worth of debt, right? $36,000 is like the average
for just college.
College period. That's all. Like any sort of undergraduate.
Okay.
36,000 is what they leave with, and that's like after they've paid whatever through grants, student loans, scholarships, etc. They walk away with 36,000 in debt, and obviously that ranges depending on what school you chose to go to and which state that you're in. But I'm like, okay, so let's just use that number, 36,000, right?
Okay.
If you fall back as a teacher, the average teacher salary in the United States is $48,000. So theoretically, like, you're only making in your first year $12,000 more than everything that you owe for the degree, and the average person only pays back between $250 and $350, $250 and $350 a month towards their actual loans. So how long does that take? You know, at that point, you're looking at 10, 12 years before you're paying these student loans off, and you don't really make that much money to begin with as a teacher. So these are just bad life choices, and it's something that's frustrated me over the years, because I'm like, oh, you know, like, people look down on plumbers. Plumbers make a lot more than most of these 4-year degrees.
Or even sanitation workers.
Yep. Or like HVAC. And the average the average person that's trained in vocational schools for HVAC is roughly around $74,000 a year, and they only require like 2-year programs.
Yeah, but I would want to circle back to the teachers thing. I just have to say it, man. Like, how we pay teachers in America is fucking dumb.
Yeah, teachers are very underappreciated, man. That shit's fucked up.
Yeah, so like our education system would skyrocket back to its former glory, I guess in the 1920s.
Yeah, 20s, 30s.
When everyone was stupid. So I think we could actually improve as a society if we actually like paid teachers a reasonable wage and made them want to have their students excel and gave them bonuses based on their students' performances, similar to you would pay like an NFL or a baseball player, like, oh, if you get so many catches in a season or if you get this many touchdowns, here's a bonus pay. Like, if you get this many students to be able to like meet the state required curriculum, like blah, 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 you can get this bonus pay type of thing, or exceed by this much, or what have you, you know?
It's not like the money's not there, though, right? It's the way that the U.S. or even the states or the localities are spending the money. You have school administrators that are walking out with $120,000 annual year jobs, right? And they have nice offices, everything's furnished, real nice. You know, they have their weekends and holidays off, and life's pretty good if you're a school administrator. But if you're a teacher, you're on the grind, you know? Like, you're not getting paid during the summer, so all your pay's during the school year, and they don't make anything.
Oh, and you also work at home. You bring your work home with you, because like the teacher's not always going to be able to grade all the shit that they have to grade and stuff like that. Like, they have to do work from home.
Yeah, I think the administrator should be paid far less. The administrator should go down to making $60, $70 a year, and the teacher's salary should go up into the 70s.
I agree. Like, and we're talking basic, general public school education.
Correct.
Not fucking...
Not college, just
Yeah.
K through 12.
Yep.
Will, you have anything to add on any of those points, or are you still just soaking some things in?
No, I'm just listening, man.
All right. Well, I want to say 2 points then. One, when we're talking about having something to fall back on, your theater degree should be like what you're falling back on, right? If you know, like, you should be doing something else primarily and having that as your backup.
It's like your side hustle.
Is that? Yeah. And then, yes, I agree, Cody, that teachers probably are being underpaid. However, when you had mentioned, and this is just me trying to think back, because I thought they did this, but of them getting paid, you know, more based off, you know, like their performance or right how they're doing. I thought they tried that, and then that turned into like corruption, because they were then passing more kids and like changing grades. I thought there was something on that. I'm not saying all teachers do that, but
Yeah.
I thought that kind of gets murky when it's, oh, if I pass 9 out of my 10 students, I get a raise.
Yeah, I mean, but that also goes back to the fucking individual's morals and values. Like,
Agreed. I'm not.
I think Cody was talking more on the school systems, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's looking at the individuals per se, but like, he brought up like the 1920s and 30s when everybody was stupid, right? And then obviously, like, we taught people not to be stupid.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where like we have information at our fingertips and people are still stupid. So what it comes down to is we're still using we actually have a school system based on the German school system in the 1870s, but the problem is we're in 2017, and like, with what we now know, we should be able to update the school system to accommodate what a modern mind needs to know and what they should know. You know what I mean?
And plus, I factored in like the state standardized tests and stuff like that, right? So like, if you get a good performance on that, because they can't influence that,
Right. Good.
you know?
Yes.
So like that's based off purely student performance. So if they're able to get students to where, basically an entire school, because state standardized tests are fucking retardedly easy. If they can get an entire school to pass, then there should be movement to up the standard. And
For
that's
sure.
what we should always be doing, is trying to stair step and make, all right, this was the standard here, so now let's get up to here, since everyone was able to meet the standard. There should always be that climb, that struggle to get to the next best thing.
And what Cody was saying too, as far as like having a better pay incentive for these professors or teachers, the teachers for K through 12, what you can do is you can unshackle them a little bit and allow them to come up with more of the curriculum that will drive students, right? Because ideally right now, standardized testing is not the best way to see if someone actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
I got through like the first 5 grades of elementary school. I didn't know shit. I literally just memorized everything that like was required for the test. And that doesn't mean I learned anything, right? And so that's the problem with standardized testing. You can't. That's very weird.
It's just
We have a dog like deep in a dream right now.
yeah.
But I definitely think we should go away from like standardized testing and move towards something else. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be another way to quantify how much the students have learned. And I think having a better cadre of teachers that are being paid better is probably the answer.
Yeah, probably. All right. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the only problem trying to move away from standardized testing is money, because then every other option is going to cost more money. So it's easier to print out like millions of copies of similar tests with the questions just reorganized, and run a Scantron like for each of the students to see like, okay, well, how much information does this person know given their level, and like where should they be at? So it's a quick and dirty way to get a good population sample, of how students are performing out of school and stuff like that. So that's the only problem, because it's going to cost a lot of money to move away from our current system. And the other problem is how because you got to be innovative but also cost effective. Because right now, that's the reason why our school systems are falling apart, is because they don't have the money to pay and keep people wanting to do their job.
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will continue on with the education piece and talking about some of the testing and how we can make sure that we are increasing our education levels throughout the system. And then we will also talk about trade schools versus, again, the actual 4-year degree and what's better in this day and age. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody, it's Cody from Your Views, My Facts. Tune in and join us with a lot of great conversation topics. Hopefully you like it enough to leave a comment or review at Views and Facts on iTunes and Podbean, or even Twitter at Views and Facts. I always like to tear it up.
Okay, we are back with Your Views and My Facts. I'm Thomas John. We're in here with Rich, Will, and Cody. So when we ended off, Cody was mentioning about having basically standardized testing, right, and continuing to raise the bar and so forth, right, with, when you have a good system in place, like those should be rewarded, right, those schools or whatnot. So a side question that I had off that I wanted to bring up to you then, Cody, was if you have a certain school that is doing good, and let's just say that this school is full of whatever, I'll just say whites. Okay, just for the sake of the argument. So I'm going to go down affirmative action is basically where I'm going to go.
Why not Asians then?
Well, whoever.
Okay, so an entire school filled with Asians in America.
Wait, is this a school just dedicated to math? I'm just kidding.
Anywho, so I guess where I'm going with this is that the admittance of an individual then should be based off of their grades, and not their color, religion, sex, blah, blah, blah. So if it just so happens to be that everybody in this school then is something of a particular thing, like, don't call that racism, and then do not have me go down, right, as like the superintendent, that I have to do affirmative action and bring in X amount of people. Like, no, they clearly don't give a fuck. So if their grades do not meet the bar, then I'm not going to bring them in. So so my question is then, I guess on a simple level, do you think affirmative action is bullshit?
So I had to actually write a paper about this in my advanced writing composition class. And I do feel that performance or job opportunities or just opportunities in general should be, awarded based off of merit, right?
Yeah.
Not the person's backstory. Going back to like a previous podcast where we're talking about America's Got Talent, and you're talking about, oh, well, this person is just trying to get that sympathy card, because of their hard life. Like, I grew up super fucking poor, and I went through the whole application process, and there wasn't a school that accepted me, and I had a 3.75 GPA, trying to get into a college of engineering at multiple schools in California, and not one acceptance letter came in for me. And I don't know why. I don't think it's that competitive that someone with 3.75, whenever the minimum minimum required GPA is 3.2.
Okay.
Right? So I'm obviously well above the minimum criteria.
Yeah.
Granted, if I'm getting beat out by people with 4.0s and stuff like that, awesome.
No, of course, right.
Because I know me as if I was a employer, I'd want someone with the best possible qualifications.
Correct.
Right? But also to sort of lean more to the affirmative action side, I guess, you don't know someone's, like, because maybe I have like the 3.2, right? But my quality as a person could be far superior than that of someone that has a 4.0, right? So like my quality as a person, like my work ethic, that type of stuff, like, because you don't know what's going on in my life. Like my situation, I was working nights and I was going to school full time. So I was working full time, going to school full time, working night shift, sleeping 2 hours a day, and I was still able to maintain my grades where they were. So like whenever someone, I should be able to market that about myself, but I also do strongly feel that it should be an all or none thing. So it's like I either get to market that about myself and it does get heavily weighed, or that doesn't get marketed at all, because like that does show my merit, but that doesn't get marketed at all, and we just look at the numbers. So like I do agree with like Clarence Thomas. He's Supreme Court Justice, African descent,
Yes.
and he is not for affirmative action at all. And I completely agree, because I don't want to be like, as an employer or somebody like that, I wouldn't want to be handcuffed into hiring people of lesser value that could possibly hurt my company, just because the government is dictating that I must have this many of minorities or what have you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, for me, it would just be if all things are the same, between two types of people, and maybe there's only just a small percentage point difference between a GPA, or maybe there is no difference, that you don't pick the quote-unquote minority just because you have to fill the quota. That's so I guess that's where I was at. Fuck affirmative action. I mean, if you're a good person, you're a good, you know what I mean? If you're a good worker, you're a good worker. Yes, there are, you can get into those stipulations later, just as you were saying. There might be an individual that has a lower GPA based off of, maybe they had a single parent, or they were working multiple jobs, right? They were doing things, showing their work ethic, and it just so happened to be, right, that, they weren't able then to attain, right, a better GPA, but they had these other things going on. You can look at that as a whole later. Yes, I'm with you there, but all things being equal, you don't just turn somebody else down because of race, color, religion, sex, yada, yada, yada.
Gender. Since
gender.
Now on the application process, I have 20 genders to pick from.
Okay, yeah, that's another podcast.
It'll be a good podcast when we do it.
Yeah, well, so that was my one question, just that I had, right when we came back from the break, that I was thinking of. So Rich wants to jump in here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I too am with Cody. It either needs to be viewed or not viewed, as far as the potential that somebody has, right? That's what Cody's talking about, is what is this person's potential quality that I can get out of them. And I don't think GPA is the best way of showing that, just because you don't know what somebody's doing on their downtime. But I think if you look at it in that perspective, I think the argument for affirmative action is that these individuals are coming from like poverty, a lot of them, right? And so you have like these African Americans that really do tend to be like the lower 70 percentile when it comes to poverty. And so like if an African American male or female is graduating high school and they have a 3.0, that's like the most amazing thing in the world for them, because more than likely if we're using like Maslow's like theory, right? You're going to worry more about survival, food, like what's going on, before you're going to worry about how to advance yourself or how to educate yourself. So I think the biggest thing is I think people are striving for equality as far as the amount of people that get a chance to attend these schools or to apply for these jobs. But obviously, like, companies are no different than an individual, right? You have your private rights. The company has their private rights. And I do think it's a problem if the government's going to dictate to a company how they should handle themselves. I think schools are a little bit different. I do think that the people that are coming from baseline poverty, depending on how their story, I think it should be viewed in like the letter that they're writing, right? Like, I don't think it should be based on a GPA aspect, but if they can meet the minimum requirements GPA to apply to school, I think that's when we would read the stories that we're having them write for acceptance into these colleges. And then it's like, oh, this person grew up with one parent that was never there, or maybe their parent was a crackhead, and they just so happened to make the 3.2 cutoff. Like, that's an amazing story. You know what I mean? And so I think they use it to ensure that there's not discrimination both at the workplace or in school. But I think we need to look at it more just an equality aspect. Like, hey, are we giving this person the opportunity for the look? Because it's not like about color in that aspect. If we look at like Cody's scenario, right? Cody could easily get a 4.0 if he only worried about school. But because he's an adult, he's opted to serve in the military at some point in his life. And now he's attending college, and he's still working like night shift at work, serving. Like, that has to be viewed. Like, you cannot not view that as like something exceptional. You know what I mean? I would take the individual that can manage their time both at work and for school over any kid that's just getting a 4.0 and just going to school any day.
Yeah, sure. I can agree with that. The bottom line for me would be that if I'm going to hire somebody, it's what is the surplus of value that you're going to give me? Because that's what essentially that's the bottom line. And so there may be a time where I might choose somebody who is, I'll say, quote unquote, lesser qualified, because I know that I could pay them less because that's going to bring me more value, right? Or I might hire somebody that is more overqualified, right? Because I know that I might be able to get them to do more things, right? And still paying them, maybe at a more minimum dollar. I don't know. That's where I'm at. Why are you looking at me like I'm crazy?
No. I think you're very pragmatic the way you're speaking about it. I think the other thing too is like you would bring in maybe somebody lesser qualified if they came from a different background, anyways. Because like we often overuse like, hey, there's value in diversity, and like that's an overused statement pretty much throughout. But some of it does reign true. Like if I own a real estate company,
it's very true.
It's very true. If I own a real estate company and all my realtors are from the same area and they all know the same things, I may look outside at somebody that may not sell as many houses, but just to gain something that they have that's different. You know what I mean? It's the same idea. You can have like 5 superstars on a court in the NBA, and they may not win an NBA title, but you could have a team with 2 superstars and 3 players that know their roles, right? They're not of the same quality, and that might be a dynasty. That might be a 2-3 title championship series team. You know what I mean? So it's not always about you having the very best person. It's having the best person just for that position or what you may need from them.
Isn't that what I said?
Well, yeah, but I'm not looking at it simply from like an economic means as far as what the wages are, but also what they can bring to your company. If you're going to pay somebody less, they still can probably bring in just as much, if not more, to your company.
Well, okay, sure, yeah. That's value.
Yeah,
value doesn't have to be $1.
No, I'm not arguing with you. You asked me why I had that look, and I just thought it was very pragmatic.
Whatever. Surplus of value. Okay. That's
So
the bottom line.
when we started this, we were saying technical training versus going to school, right? We haven't touched on like technical training or
that's true.
on the job training or anything
50
like
minutes
that.
Into it.
Yeah, so let's shift here.
Okay. Who wants to take this one first?
I guess I will, because I have no aspirations of going to school, and I'm sitting next to 2 people that are aspiring students.
Scientist.
Yeah, we have a scientist and a
politician.
politician. Yeah, which is pretty dope. I'm just a guy that has a job, but
In an awesome headband.
So together, will we be a political scientist?
I guess, yeah.
Poli-sci.
Aristotle.
But yeah, well, what do you guys think? Do you think technical training is as valuable as getting a college degree?
If you know what you want to go after, and you have your passion in life of what you want to do, then the vocational school, trade school, technical school is going to be the way to go, because it's going to give you that specific skill set for that particular job, and it's fast tracking you through it right in these 2 years or under usually, and then you don't have to incur the amount of debt that a 4-year college is going to bring you. You don't have to go through all the extra bullshit. I don't have to listen to a bunch of loopy liberal fucking teachers. And yeah, I mean, I don't care about extra side studies that are going to do me no good in the real world. I mean, I don't know how many.
But I think that's a small percentage, though, right? That like actually know exactly what they want to do after high school. I would say probably around 60% of kids go into their first year of college, for instance, and they have no idea what they're doing, right? That's why they take on their general eds initially, and then they map out their lives. But I think vocational school has value, right? And I think at a middle school and high school level, I do not think we are valuing it enough. Like, I don't think kids are being told that these vocational schools are even options.
Yeah, because I feel, well, here's another thing is like, I feel like college and school is sold to kids more when you're going through actual, like, you know, junior high school and high school. They want to sell you going to college and not necessarily going to get a skill and then do, you know, vocational school or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, even the entertainment industry does that, right? Like, you watch a movie and, like, these kids after high school are worried about college. What college are they going to? Or you're watching a comedy and they're partying in college, banging chicks and drinking. And then anytime you see somebody that's doing vocational training or some sort of, like, technical training, it's almost viewed in a negative in a lot of the movies, you know? It's like, oh, this person decided to do plumbing or HVAC or sanitation or whatever, right? And it's viewed as a negative, but the funny part is these individuals make a lot more than most of these college grads off the bat.
And the crazy thing is, while everyone's being sold college, is in a couple years, what's going to happen when everyone's been sold college and they go and get these meaningless degrees like we've been talking about? And then
Correct.
Where are people that we're actually going to need to do the hard labor and shit like that? There's going to be a surge for jobs for those career fields.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, this can be driven back obviously just to the employer itself, right? Because an employer should be able to look at individuals potentially just coming straight out of high school as well, and what can you get from that individual? Because you may not necessarily need to have to go to college or a trade school. So if we go down right to what we were just discussing earlier with Cody, right, in that we have set the bar, we keep increasing the knowledge bar from high school, then you may have all the tools that you need, right, to go down a particular job path for what you want to do, and you will learn the skill sets for, you know, on the job training, whatever the case may be. But yeah, if I'm going to be a plumber, I don't need to know about fucking Plato or Aristotle's bullshit.
You don't got to learn how to cry. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I don't need to know how to mold fucking clay, you know, into a fucking pot. Because that's not what I care to do. Somebody else can mold the fucking pot. So, I mean, you're just going through extra bullshit that is just not needed.
I think the extra bullshit for college is because they want a well-rounded student, right? But to be honest with you, if it's general education, like Cody's saying, we should increase the quality of high school, and general education from college should be actually taught at a high school level, to be honest.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I had to learn or quote-unquote relearn in college whenever I had to take a history class or whatever. But I would say that there are, like, going back to high school, I took welding whenever I was in high school. My welding teacher, he was a former sailor in the Navy, and that's where he learned how to weld. And he took that job, his skill set that he obtained from the military, and then he went out and made buku dollars, working on different pipelines and stuff like that. So at least where I'm from, vocational schools are more marketed, but now, yes, it is turning into this situation where it's like you either go to college or you're a failure. Like, that's sort of like the stigmata that's behind it. You know, that if you don't attend college and get a degree in something, then you didn't succeed as an adult, which that isn't necessarily the case. Like my brother, he dropped out of high school, didn't have a GED or anything at age of 17 so that he could bang his McDonald's manager and get fucked up all the time. At 19, he wised up. At 19, he wised up and decided to get a job as a helper out at the plant doing electrical work. When I say the plant, I mean there's multiple chemical plants from where I'm from in Texas. He did that and worked his way up, and then the company saw the value in him and his capability and then paid for him to attend these technical training courses at the local community college to help increase his skill set and his knowledge. And then, because the company knew that they'd be able to get dividends off of that, then he built up. Here he is now, 33. Wait, no, not 33. He's 31. And he makes over 6 figures. He has 5 kids. He's on the path. Like, they just sent him to the company he works for just sent him to Indonesia to work and learn from other people over there, so that he can come back and bring the knowledge that he got trained for into his skill set. So like the company hired him is now putting him through like a year's worth of training without him even working for them. So he's just getting paid to learn, but he knows a lot of the stuff already. And what they know that what they're gonna get from him is a lifelong employee, and they're gonna be able to progress him up to the track to where he could be plant supervisor or something like that. In which those typically range from 200 to $500,000, and that's a man that had 0 college training, and he only had OJT, no technical school or anything like that, besides the few classes that the company's paid for him to go to. So there's a lot of value in more or less the person compared to like the education. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the company, putting in their time and their resources to make that person be valuable, and to increase what they're going to bring. But the way that, yes, Rich, right, you obviously do want people to be well-rounded, right, and obviously know what is going on in the world, but the better way to do that, right, or at least to make then the 4-year college affordable, is you need to trim all these other bullshit classes that are being taught that mean absolutely nothing. I'd have to look it up, or maybe one of you three can. But there is a class out there at some college where the professor teaches like Beyonce.
Oh yeah, no.
What the fuck is going on? So somebody's got to pay that goddamn professor, then, which are probably other kids that aren't even taking his class. So that. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's where I think we need to change what we're teaching at the K through 12, though, right? At the K through 12, kids need to know math. They need to know basic science. They need to know civics, which is not being taught at all anymore. So we have all these retards that think they understand.
Oh, how about how to fill out a fucking 1040 easy?
Exactly. Well, not just that. It's the aspect where they're like, oh, we're a democracy. Like, my vote didn't count. It's like, no, bitch. Like, at least for the last 240 years, we've been voting the exact same way in America. So nothing's changed. You're just an idiot, right? So, like, there's those aspects. Obviously, like, physical fitness and I think nutrition should be added to, like, the elementary, middle school education, to be honest. But
okay,
I think,
okay, Michelle.
No. I mean, I think just proper nutrition will actually save medical funds down the line, because like heart disease is like the #1 killer in America, and it's from like the mass amount of fucking sodas and like the fucking big ass food that we're eating on a regular basis.
Right.
As he's holding a Mountain Dew. No, what I'm saying is I think a 4-year degree should be cut down to a 2-year, and I think general education should be. Anything that's actually relevant can be taught at a high school level, and anything that's not relevant doesn't need to be taught at all. And if you want to specialize in something, you fucking do it as your actual undergrad, or you move on to your graduate program and you specialize in something that you want.
Yeah, no, I would be okay with that. I mean, this is kind of just spitballing here, but yeah, your vocational school would be right, the kind of local to the state level, right? And what your craft is going to be. Like I want to be let's say just fix engines, right? So, okay, you can, or you know what? Here's a better way to put it. you can be a handyman, which is just that you're general in everything, right? And if you are a handyman, then that's kind of like your 4-year degree, right? Like you learn the vast array of like how everything kind of works and is kind of intertwined.
Flush.
Yeah, but then if you specifically need somebody, that is only going to work on work on engines, right? Like they have spent all their time just learning every piece about engines. So if you need that specialized, then you can go to them. I guess, does that make sense, right? Like, I mean, your college aspect is kind of bringing you to more like the world, like how things are operating. How is right, or stocks. If I not like how is this going to affect that and so forth. It's everything as a whole.
I'm also thinking of like what people go to college for, right? Because like obviously we were joking around about how theater really probably shouldn't be a 4-year degree, but then like you look at nursing. Nursing in the United States is going to be rough in 2024. Like on average, we're going to have between 50 and 60% shortages throughout the United States on nursing, and ideally, like nursing should only be like a 1 to 2 year program. Like we should be able to get individuals to go to these vocational training for nursing, and then within 2 years they can go out and start working in hospitals as far as doing what nurses do. I mean, that's a huge shortage. And like that's a need and a job that pays a decent amount. What you're going to get as a nurse pay, especially if you're on like the emergency like hours, right? Or you're on the weekend hours, it's way more than what you're going to get for going to school for 4 years and just obtaining some other degree.
Okay. I don't know if I could.
I just use nursing as an example, right? Like,
yeah, but I don't know if I don't know if I completely followed you then, or if I just don't agree, because and well, sometimes Rich talks in a fucking foreign language sometimes that I just can't follow. Not saying it's bad. I'm just saying maybe it's more advanced than me. Okay, I didn't go to college.
Me either, man. But you don't need it.
Yeah. No. I don't even know. I don't even have a response to what you just said.
I'm just saying, like there are so many job fields out there that could just be turned into just vocational training that does not need to be at a college level.
And you're saying nurses would be that?
Like I'm saying, nurses is an option. Like I think welding, for instance, like they have welding degrees. Welding should be a vocational training only. Like there's no need to have that in a college level.
Okay, and I think this is where I get confused, and maybe my brain's messed up. But this is where I would argue that I think nursing would be more like your college, and you going to become a doctor, right, and specializing in something, that is your vocational school. I get that it takes a lot fucking longer because you have somebody's life normally that's in your hands, but like that's how my brain's operating. I'm not saying your thought process is wrong. Yes, I see what you're saying, that you can go through right from the nurse and just have that specialized, right, because you're not going to be more technical, right, from a anesthesiologist or a fucking neurosurgeon, whatever it may be. But I was just kind of looking at it, from the other way too, that you could say, I don't know. I'm just trying to make my view a fact and make it worth more.
No, I'm tracking. I get it. Yeah, I don't. I think the reason I think the way I do on this is nurses are so hands-on, right? Like they're not diagnosing; they're simply treating.
Sometimes they're not hands-on and patients die.
That's true, and
a lot of stories about that.
And to be honest with you, nurses are super undermanned, like to begin with, right? Like I know a couple that.
Why can't they be underwomaned?
they can be underwoman too, but
the proper term is underpersoned.
Motherfuckers.
I think the reason we view like doctors or like these specialized like doctoral positions or simply RN positions is because they have to know so much more that it's got to be at an educated level. Because like I'm not letting a doctor diagnose my brain if they haven't gotten their 8-year degree. To be honest with you, like if you have not gotten your 8-year degree, don't diagnose my fucking brain. Like don't touch that shit.
No, I completely agree, and as this is a little bit of a segue, but as screwed up as this may sound, I am one of those individuals that if you have a Southern accent and you're a doctor and you're working on me, I probably don't want you working on me.
What?
Well, just because you sound retarded. You know what I'm talking about?
Because they have a draw?
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Cody's going to school to be a scientist, and I'm sure when he's in Texas, his draw comes out.
Well, he sounds just fine.
Or if I'm drunk.
Yeah, Cody gets drunk, and then he's the...
Well, sure, but he sounds fine now.
I don't... Yeah, I mean...
You know what I'm talking... I'm just saying...
So what you're telling me is I should have a stiff one and then go ahead and do some surgery on you, TJ. That'd make you real comfortable. But now, going back to what Rich was talking about with the nurses, there are different types of nursing, like degrees or whatever that you can get, and some are 2 year. I think it's like a CNA or something like that, because you have like a certified nurse, and then you also have like a registered nurse, a licensed practical nurse. Like there's multiple types of nursing levels that you can get. Like the internet is telling me 25 types of nurses.
Yeah, we got to
Like,
lower
Jesus
that shit
Christ.
down to 2.
So
Just like genders, it's got to go down to 2.
But yeah, I mean, then also on the nursing thing, like they do have to administer sometimes shots or like hook you up with an IV drip and stuff like that. So they should know how to do some of the basic chemistry and stuff like that, so that they don't fucking kill a person, you know.
But you should be able to learn that in 2 years, right?
That could be like an OJT thing.
Yeah, OJT,
Right?
summer break, 3
Yeah,
months.
I mean, I don't know how it is in reality, right? But one of my chemistry professor gave us a problem. It's an infamous cat problem. So you have a 5 kilogram cat, right? He needs this amount, this dosage at this rate. You're given a concentration of a solution of this. How much are you going to add to this bag so that he gets this amount at this rate? You know?
Yeah.
And it typically, like when I did it,
You killed the cat?
No.
that cat exploded with the amount of fluid I put in him. So
Wait, was this a living cat?
no, it was all theoretical. Right?
Okay.
This is this is the dosage that I need to add to the saline bag. Or
So
whatever.
no cat was harmed in this.
No.
Okay.
I'm like nervous about to go on vacation and leave my cat at home with you, dude. It's fucked.
Oh, dude, we need to have a cat day.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Cat day?
Yeah, we have a cat day where I bring Bobby over and we can have him play.
I'm
Gay.
down. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Okay, look, on this note, we're going to take another short break here because I got to go look up a few things and make a phone call. But we will be right back and finish up wrapping up some of our education piece.
Do you hate traffic? I fucking hate traffic. If you have nothing going on and you're just driving, tune into Your Views, My Facts. My name's Rich. I'm featured on it. You'll listen to TJ, Cody, Will, and other members. Come on board, argue, just converse, or just start talking shit about people that we know. You can find us at Views and Facts on Twitter, iTunes, or Podbean. Entertain, educate, or just make you laugh.
All right, we are back with Your Views and My Facts. So took a short little break, had to take care of a few things, and then Cody has a comment that he'd like to make. So, Cody, the floor is yours. If it's about pussies.
Yeah. Well, no.
Okay. Sorry.
It's just more or less a question for everybody. As a kid, when you're growing up, what'd you want to be? TJ, what'd you want to be as a kid?
Let me defer. I got to think about this.
I knew exactly what I want. Well, I thought I knew what I wanted to be when I was a kid. I always wanted to be a dentist when I was a kid. Real
Why?
shit, a dentist. I had really nice teeth. I have nice teeth, and I think I hate when people don't have nice teeth. And so
I'm sorry.
That was like my driving factor.
I'm sorry,
as a
mine are
child.
fucked up. No, they're not that bad.
But yeah, that was my, at least, you're a kid, so you don't really think about it too much. And I was like, oh, I have nice teeth. See other people don't, and they want to be a dentist.
So what deterred you away from pursuing that?
Growing up. Literally, and then, I don't know, I still don't even really know what I want to do. I just got lumped into what I know right now, and I happen to be particularly good at it, so I'm going to stick with it because it's marketable and I can make a lot of money. And
I mean, but do you like it?
it's a good question. I wouldn't say that I like it, but given
You like being skillful at it, though.
yeah, and if you want anything, you got to give something up, man. So the sacrifice for me is I might not like it that much, but it's gonna pay its dividends. And
You're going for more lifestyle than you are for the actual career.
yeah, I'm not gonna sacrifice what I have now to go get a theater degree because that's what I love to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I realize that my skill that I have is extremely marketable, and through networking and stuff like that, I can put myself in a really good position. So I'm gonna stick with what I know and what I have right now.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, because you don't want your work to be your life. You want your life to be your life. So you want to have a job that will accommodate with the luxuries that you want to have, right?
Exactly. And the job that I will eventually have is going to do that for me. Because unlike you and Rich, I don't see myself ever going to school, ever. Like, school was at my absolute last resort. I don't ever want to have to, what I would call wasting time on going to school. And it's not that I'm like some dumb fuck or anything like that. To me, school is just not in my plans, and I have no aspirations to want to go to school.
Okay.
Growing up, I wanted to be Indiana Jones. So, like, that was sort of like my role model growing up. I'm really
You got a theater degree, man.
No. I mean, like,
Archaeologist.
I wanted to do archaeology. Yeah, I sort of wanted to be. I really like history, and I do like traveling. So I was like, okay, cool. I can travel. I can get into history. I can try to find artifacts. I like shooting things. You know, I knew I liked guns at an early age. Indiana Jones has a whip and a gun. Always got the girl. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I realized, like, oh, I want kids. I want, like, other things, you know. And you can't do that with an archaeology career just because you're always gone. And there's not the money that Indiana Jones seems to make. Obviously, he's like a PhD teacher at what seems to be like Brown or like Oxford or somewhere. And so he's making good money in this movie. And then he does archaeology, and he just so happens to find, you know, the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant or like some Indian like gold statues or whatever the case may be. But in real life, it's like, hey, archaeology, you might get paid $65,000-$70,000 to like have a big dig, right? And then once that dries up, you're just teaching, probably also making $60,000 a year. And I definitely was hoping to make more and to also have an impact, because I do have an ego. So that's why I opted to pursue other careers.
I've never seen any of the movies.
Oh, they're excellent, dude. They're awesome.
So I do know that, like, he fights Nazis in like every single one of them, right?
Not always. So in the first one, he's fighting Nazis because they're looking for the Ark of the Covenant, and then he beats them. And then in the second one, he's basically fighting off against this like cult, this Indian like weird cult that is capturing kids and putting them into like slavery. And then the third movie, he's again fighting the Nazis, but this time Sean Connery's also fighting the Nazis. So it's pretty awesome. Weird thing is, him and his dad both banged the same blonde chick, so that was awkward. And then in the fourth film, we really don't talk about the fourth film as Indiana Jones fans, but if you're going to talk about it, he was fighting the Russians at that point because it's like Soviet Union.
All right, TJ, what about you?
So I'm glad I deferred because it got me to think about it. But I wanted to be Fox Mulder.
Oh my God.
Who's that?
Yeah, it's way over my head, though.
Oh, FBI.
X-Files.
X-Files.
Dude,
Mulder,
he's
Mulder
got
and Scully.
he's got all the seasons on DVD. As his roommate, he's like, "Yep, we're gonna start watching these. We're gonna go through it again."
Once again, another thing I've never watched, but I do know from, you know, pop culture who Mulder is and Scully.
Yeah, Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. So, yeah, bottom line, FBI then agent, but it would specifically be working, like on those files. And obviously the little, misconception about the show is that it's not necessarily, like alien based. It's just cases that cannot be explained. So they do stuff like spontaneous human combustion, right? I mean, things down on that level. So, a lot of people thought that it was, just alien based, but all your other shows basically had spawned from the X-Files. So anything that is like crime related based or, was the X-Files. They started it. So now you had asked Will then what kind of got him off of what he wanted to do. So, for me, I think it was right, like growing up then, and there were a couple points. One, there's probably no such thing as the actual, like X-Files, right? Yes, you always have like cold case files and things that haven't been explained or solved, but nothing to that level, right? Like they don't have a group of people that are going around like doing this little sect of investigation. So I was like, okay, well that's probably fucking out then.
Or do they?
You're right, yeah. Or do they? Sure. And then Rich hit it on with Indiana Jones and the archaeology, but like mold, right? So obviously when you're looking at these people, like, okay, what do I got to do to, like to possibly get into this? Well, in the show, like he went to Oxford as well. So it's like, well, that's fucking out. Because A, not going overseas, and B, probably not getting into Oxford.
He doesn't like tea either.
You don't like tea?
You don't like tea.
Well, I don't think I ever saw fucking Mulder drink tea either.
I'm saying in Oxford you would drink tea because you're in Britain.
Well, whatever. So it anywho, I guess essentially where like then things just kind of molded into a different path for me, which was all right. Well, I can get involved right into the military. So my dad was retired from the Air Force back in '93. So I said, all right, well, I could probably go down this route. Originally, I was going to come in and I wanted to be a cop.
Good choice that you didn't, right?
Well, it really wasn't my choice. The funny thing about it, so I'm pretty sure I was lied to, which is fine, right? It doesn't, because, knowing what I know now, it's probably better that I didn't go down that road. But they had told me that there were no jobs for security forces at the time.
That's never the case, right?
Well, right, yeah. I mean, but so I'm like, okay, well, yeah, what is there? We'll go be this technician on this plane and, fix it. All right, whatever,
Yeah, I always forget that about you and I are both avionics, former avionic technicians, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, yeah, let me go down that route. And then it was basically sitting, okay, well, what are the investigative divisions then within the military that I could possibly, go join? And I had applied for them, and there are some other things that came up which kind of, stopped me from going down those paths. And now it basically just sits in, okay, well, I'm going to finish my time off then in the military. And then when I'm done, I've got a couple options, which is, I don't know if I want to start, like my own type of security firm, open up a gun range now. I don't know, right? But just staying on that aspect of, you basically, ideally, I would restart up the quote unquote like Blackwater organization. If you don't know what it is, everybody, you should probably look it up. But I'm a firm believer in private contractors and handling the business of the world.
I could see you owning a gun range. I could see that.
Yeah.
It'd be the best goddamn gun range in America.
Yes, it would be.
It would not be here in California.
No, it fucking wouldn't.
Would you have like another business attached to it, like maybe a strip club?
Yeah. So check this out. I was thinking about this the other day, right? This is a little segue. TJ's, right? Basically, I'm gonna just what are you doing? Oh, we're gonna go to TJ's, right? But it's like TJ and then the S, okay? But the S is shooting range, strip club. Shit, I had some other ones.
Sports?
I don't know, not really sports, but like
sports betting
or like or like sports bar, right? Like I just had all these different things that could just be easily tied to, just having it under the banner of TJ's, and then I just need to look to see if that ticker symbol's available. This is on record, so if anybody tries to steal it, then I'm going to come and sue your ass.
TJ's TM.
Copyright pending.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so anyways, I just thought like how nifty would that be, TJS.
That would be pretty sweet.
I mean, that sounds like just a family event.
Yeah. Let's go to TJ's.
Yeah, boom.
Bring the family.
Bring
No,
the
don't
kids.
bring your
Throw
Yep.
money at strippers.
Yep. Strip club would probably be called something like High Caliber.
Ooh.
Something on that. I don't know. I think about these things.
Because the dog's name is Caliber?
The dog just stands out front.
Yeah. Yep.
He's the logo.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. Maybe. But so yeah, that's what anyways what I want to do, right? Was go down and basically I've always wanted to operate autonomously.
Be your own boss, right? Or at least
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to be my own boss, but not look. I don't need to like work with other people, like directly. Like I don't mind ever having to like report to somebody, but let me go do my own thing, right? Like I will get the job done. So you tell me what needs to happen, and I will make it happen. There's also been sort of like the kind of being on that then autonomous route of things that I could do to where I could live that life. So like doing some type of like emergency management, like disaster, stuff, or just going around and like looking at, okay, well, what could be improved here or there? Or, hey, if this fucking tree falls down here, you know, it's gonna knock out this bridge, right? I mean, just going around and like doing those, like, just let me do what I want to do, right? Like I'm a refiner. I can make things better. It's not necessarily that I have the ideas to start off with, right, or the best way to execute them, but I can normally look at things and say, I don't know about that, right? And then I can get everybody to brainstorm again, and then like, okay, well, let's go down this route. All right, I don't know, let's look. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
So before we wrap it up, Cody, what did you want to be?
Yep.
So whenever I was younger, I had aspirations to be a lawyer, actually, like the Texas Law Hawk.
Oh my god.
For y'all that have not seen this YouTube, these are legitimate commercials. Just look up the Texas Law Hawk, and you'll enjoy.
HAWK, Law Hawk, like
Hawk.
the bird. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, but as I got older, I realized it's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of reading, like a lot, and I'm like, no, fuck that. Because it also stemmed from the movie Liar Liar with Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's awesome, right? I thought it was a hilarious movie, but I was like, I'd love to be a lawyer or whatever. But then got older, realized I had to read a lot. I hate reading. So I decided to switch gears. And whenever I took my first chemistry class and as a freshman in high school, I realized like chemistry's dope, you know, and after that I was just in love with it. So now 10 years after graduating, I'm finally like 2 years away from getting my chemical engineering degree and hopefully being able to make the world a better place.
So quick question, since that's your primary goal, is your fallback by any chance being a meth like creator, like a meth dealer?
Oh, you're talking about being the cook?
Yeah.
Breaking Bad?
Yeah. Is that an option, like on a scale of like 1 to 100, like what percentage is that, like, hey, there's a 70% chance I would go to this as a backup?
So funny thing is like I talked with my organic chemistry professor before the semester was up, before I was done with the class. I was like, do we have the means right now to be able to like synthesize cocaine or methamphetamine or anything like that? And she's like, yeah, everything I've taught you, you'd be able to do it. So like I have the knowledge, like it's there. I could write it out and like be able to build the molecules and stuff like that. I just don't have the resources to do that, you know?
Stuff that the FBI would say, wait just a second.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is like we have to build MDS. So we have to get all the safety information for any chemicals we're using for that day in lab. And you typically go to websites where you can purchase said chemicals for whatever you're using. And it's not really fully restricted to like just you have to have a license to buy it. There's a lot of stuff that you can buy without having a license. But there's a lot of shit that you can't because how volatile it is and you need the proper facility to be able to use it and store it. So, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I might not do that in America, but it isn't out of the realm of possibility.
He can build it.
They will come.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right, so do we want to give any final thoughts then on this topic or anything else that we want to speak on when we kind of went down a lot of different roads here on the education piece?
I guess I'll give my piece. For one, I don't think cat hangouts are gay.
Yeah, so fuck you, TJ. Fuck you, Cody. Y'all take y'all motherfucking dogs, go hang out. Me and Rich go hang out with the cats, man.
But that's more normal.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It doesn't matter, though.
Go have a cat fashion show then.
I mean, my cat does have a bow tie right now.
Gay.
I don't dress my cat. I don't like putting clothing on animals in general.
Oh, really? I put like shirts or like jackets on my dogs. I just think it's funny. Like I dress one of my dogs up as BB-8, which is a Star Wars character for those that don't know him, and it's basically like an animal but like a robot. So that's what I opted to do for Halloween for one of my dogs. But this year will be interesting. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to dress as Jon Snow, and my fiance is going to wear a blonde wig. She'll be Daenerys, so I was thinking I'd just dress the dogs as dragons. Or they could just be dogs, because there's, like, wolves in the show. I might just go with the dogs, because that puts zero effort in.
Well, yeah, you got a husky too, right? So
Yeah, husky
pretty
lab.
close.
Yeah, the white wolf.
Yeah. I feel like you might need a larger dog, though.
I plan on getting another one, but I got to wait till I start my Northern Dog Sanctuary.
Well, I'm just saying to help pull off your little costume gimmick here, there's a larger dog.
We could just spray paint Cal white.
No.
He's got to be
Spray
white.
paint.
The dog. What the fuck's wrong with you?
It'll be like washable. It'll be like dog-friendly spray paint. How do you think people get makeup and shit? They test it on these animals. Fuck it.
Yo, make sure you use the right paint though, man. I painted myself once for
Yep.
Halloween, man.
Yeah.
Fucking used the wrong paint.
That's true.
Terrible, man.
I still got that episode in the queue ready to be dropped.
Yeah,
Oh.
man.
Where we chatted about that.
Wait, we're in September right now. Before we close, are you guys dressing up for Halloween?
Yes.
What are you going as?
I don't know yet, but I'm going with the trio of homies. So we're trying to pick like 3 dudes that are like similar, or like from a movie or something like that, and then all go out dressed up in.
Bro, Ninja Turtles. You just need to find a
Wait,
fourth.
I thought we already had a plan, man. Are you backing out on the plan?
No, you were gonna be a fucking clown, right? When you came to my house the other day, you were
Yeah.
like, "Yeah," and I'm gonna.
Yeah, but it was all based off because we were gonna go, mess with Amanda. That was the whole point.
Oh, yeah, you wanted to fuck with Amanda.
Y'all are gonna go be killer clowns and
Well-
scratch on our windows and shit.
That's pretty
all
jacked
right.
up.
Well, look, we'll just figure out whenever the quote unquote like party's gonna be.
Well, yeah,
and
because
then we could
Halloween's during the week, but the weekend, yeah, I was
Well-
planning on going to like Southern California and going crazy.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. I ideally what I wanted to do. So if you haven't just watch the premiere of American Horror Story Cult, highly recommend that you guys check that out. But so I wanted to, dress up as a basically a killer clown or deranged clown, whatever the case may be, real fucked up type. But what I wanted to do though is I wanted to cover up that outfit with just like a regular jumpsuit, right, or some type of like a biohazard suit, and then I was going to have a gas mask over, right, the little like clown mask, so that way if anybody ever went, oh, who is that, then I would just take off the gas mask, then really fuck with them by having just a whole other outfit on.
Bro, that sounds extra hot though.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna literally be cooking. Yeah, that's like that's like Mop 3 level gear, bro.
Some things take dedication. Yeah, we can talk more then about our costumes later. And that's Cody had a quick one.
I mean, on the whole education piece.
No, costume first.
Oh, costume? No, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay,
yet.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, education piece. Go ahead, hit it.
Even though this is America and you have the opportunity to be whatever you want to be, you shouldn't always try to be what you want to be, because all you're doing is just hurting yourself and society.
Who's next?
Be all Willie.
Go ahead, Will.
What, you call me Willie? That's not fucking cool, man. I would just say, don't fall into the trap of thinking you have to go to college. Like, there's plenty of other routes where you can get skills, and the matter of the fact is everyone's going to college now, so down the road we're going to need people that are going to want to do the other shit and going to need skills to do construction, handyman shit, more hands-on stuff. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I think the big thing is a closing item would be make sure when you're going to school, your degree is going to be solid for the outside, but that you're actually getting educated, because you can get a degree without actually obtaining any actual education, and that doesn't do you a service at all, right? If you're paying your money, right, because you're going to pay these school debts back, you might as well learn something from it. Or if you don't think school's for you, do like Will. Will's going to be super successful because he has a skill set that's very unique, right? And I think that's beneficial. So try to talk, obviously, with your kids early. If you are a kid, I doubt a kid's listening to this, but if you find yourself in middle school, high school, like seriously think, like, what do I want to do? Chances of you being a football star after college, probably not likely. So just try to be realistic.
Okay, my last piece. Yeah, so granted, this podcast, yeah, we kind of again touched on a lot of different things, but I think it was still entertaining for the listeners. So hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, if you need to go to a 4-year college, that's what you want to do. Then just try to know that that's where you want to go down. Otherwise, go to a vocational school, get a trade, and start making the money down that route of carpentry, plumber, electrician, HVAC, whatever it may be. And if you don't want to go, then don't go. And potentially, I'll give a plug. Join the military, and hopefully, that'll at least give you a paycheck to begin with, some discipline, and see what you want to do from there. So,
or be on the lookout for job opportunities through TJ's.
That's true. Yes. Look for any job opportunities that TJ's may have in the future. So, this has been Thomas John with Your Views and My Facts. Again, you can find us on Twitter, iTunes, Facebook at Views and Facts. We had talked about just our little thoughts on education and so forth. Leave us a review, subscribe, like, share, and thank you for listening.